In progress.
Well, we're bringing up the draft again. As you can see, this is Forbes breaking news. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why would we draft young women? Well, for the same reasons that you draft young men. You put them on the sacrificial altar for the wage war. Before we start and hear what this woman has to say, I want to point out two things. Thank you, Phil Mitchell, for pointing this out. They are willing to draft boys into war. He's supposed to be 16 years old or more, but holy shoot, who is this? So it's all right to draft these youngsters, but not women. Also, Ukraine starts drafting reservist age 18 to 60. Holy snap. I'm in my 50s. The last thing I would want is to be for doing military duty. So elderly men are all right and children are all right, but not these uber humans, right? Okay, let's hear what we have to say.
I would like to discuss two amendments that I've offered to the National Defense Authorization Act. My first amendment, Amendment 41, would strike the section of the bill that makes women eligible for the draft. Drafting American wives, mothers, daughters for mandatory military service unnecessarily politicizes military service and would jeopardize the national security of this nation.
That is a non sequitur. It doesn't matter if it's politicized or not. It's an issue that has to be faced. You're either for equality or against it. This woman's against it. So it's a political issue. So what? You shouldn't draft them because it's a political issue? No.
The purpose of the draft is to rapidly replace combat losses in extreme national emergencies. It has always been about meeting the needs of the armed forces as fast as possible with the best replacements as possible. Men are, by their very nature, the best suited to meet these demands when necessary. The effort to draft America's daughters into frontline combat duty will undermine the military's combat prowess, lead to greater wartime casualties, and take away from the defense capacity. Men and women are not physically the same, and women do not possess an equal opportunity to survive on the battlefield in direct combat with battle-hardened men. And I can say...
Right. But these Ubermenches here, they can stand it. I bet this big guy here could really take on a full-size man, right? So all this is this woman doesn't want to get shot in the face. She doesn't want to self-sacrifice in any way, and she's willing to argue for fellow women for the same way. That's all it is. That's the only reason that this is being brought up. Okay?
Say that as a woman who can deadlift 300 pounds, can do more pull-ups than anyone else in this room, and run faster than any of you. You see, women are equal to men in many ways, but when we put women on the battlefield unnecessarily, it changes the dynamics of how...
Wow. So this woman just basically said, I'm better than all you guys, but I'm still inferior when it comes to getting my face shot at. I would put a gun in this woman's hand before I'd put a gun in this young man's hand. Look how happy they all are to be here.
How a defense should operate, how a military should operate. And let me explain some of the reasons why this is an issue.
There's only one reason it's an issue to her. She would have to self-sacrifice. She is probably at the age that she could be drafted. And that's what it is. Self-sacrifice are for us peasants, not these Uber people.
You see, right now, we have 17 million 18 to 25-year-old men who are currently registered in the select services. That's 17 million already registered, all males. Right now, we have 1.3 million active duty military members serving. We have 800,000 reservists. There is no necessary reason to draft women with those numbers.
actually just swap them out then. Just take half those drafted men and tell them to go home and switch them with women. Problem solved. And you notice, guys, that this is not how she feels when it comes to the job market. If there was a business that has all men in it, just because it just happened to be that way, she would push for a job quota. She would either have to have some of those men replaced with women, or she'd have to she would push for that business to open up superfluous positions to fill a quota for women, have women in there. She would do that. So notice when everything benefits women, then it's all right. But if it works against them, all of a sudden it's a different story. Now, why bother?
Numbers. Again, 17 million who are registered 18 to 25-year-old men. Why would we draft young women who are 18 to 25 years old?
Because they should sacrifice for the country as much as any man does. Are they not citizens of the country? Do you guys not benefit? So this woman is against equality, but all women are. It's not just the feminist, all women are against equality.
There's no reason for it. We're a nation with a large population. We are not a small nation like Israel, who has to do that simply because they don't have the population to meet the need to form a military. Another thing.
Really, from what I see, they're not drafting young women, though, are they? Who are 18 to 21. They're drafting youngsters in preferences. Countries do.
Thing that this panel, I hope, will take into consideration is we should learn how to spend our American taxpayers' dollars wisely. Drafting women will force the military to have to spend money in ways they didn't before. When you think about a Navy ship, there has to be places for women to sleep and men to sleep, and they have to be separate. There has to be restrooms.
Who told you that? I mean, it's the military. It's not a workplace. And so what? Even if they did, this woman expects that from any other business. Like I said, if you had a garage, a car garage that had all men and they had one bathroom and one female mechanic joined up, this woman would push for that garage owner to put money of his own into making a separate bathroom for this woman. And the military spends whatever it likes any other time. So this is a non sequitur again.
And many facilities to keep separate for men and women, at least I would hope so, although things seem to be changing in that regard lately. But there's a cost concern in that. There's also a cost concern in women's health care. Fortunately, women in the military receive great health care, but if we start drafting women and have just as many women in the military one day that we have as men, that's another cost we have to take into consideration.
Just swap the women out, swap the men out for these women. That's it. Do the men get the same health care? Okay, so it wouldn't matter. You just replace a man with a woman.
And then I'll tell you a quick story, and I thought this was really interesting. This is from actually April 5th, 2003.
This is more than interesting. This is important.
This is from a story from a ship in the Persian Gulf aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln. Now, here's what was quite interesting to me is the captain said, since the Lincoln pulled out of its home port in Everett, Washington on July 20th, about 20 crew members have been sent home pregnant. 7 in the first few weeks. 7 in the first few weeks. They had to send 20.
Yeah, that's right. These women don't want to be there. And they, as usual, use children as a leverage and shield to get out of it. People aren't brave, neither men nor women, but women have this out. And by rights, these women should have been told that they have to be on contraception and while they're on the ship, And they should also be told that there will be consequences if they don't keep it in their pants. These women should have kept it in their pants.
Of them home, just in the start. So there are issues when you're putting just as many women into the military as men.
That's not an issue. That's not an issue because men can't just do whatever they like, can they? And neither should women. There's nothing that says that women should be allowed to have sex in the military vessel. This is not a civilian situation. So there should be punishment for that. They should be, orders and regulations to prevent that. And of course, women should always be on contraception while they're in the military. When they're in the military, they should not be allowed to get pregnant. It's that simple. Because again, this isn't a civilian situation. So what it is the military is willing to let women just leave. These women who've done this, who got pregnant, they are AWOL legally. That's what it is. It's just another out for women to duck and dodge the responsibility that men have to face. And all institutions, whether it's legal or, in this case, military, they always let a woman out. They always give her an out. That's why they don't have any regulations. There's been enough years now that these regulations should have been in place to face this, but they aren't there because the military wants to let women go when these women want to go. There's nothing equality. And this woman isn't for equality. She sees these guys as peasants. And by the way, that's why they're in business suits. That's why they're dressed like worker drones. And she dresses like she's going out for cocktails because she is better than these guys. She's part of the aristocracy, and these guys are part of the peasanthood. There's a lot of things that need changing in society. And this is one of them. Before I'm done, before I end, I want to say this has to stop. Even if you can't stop them from putting elderly men in the line of fire, the very least you can do is protect the children. Do what society claims it does and protect children. Thank you.